Good evening, folks, and welcome to Week 7. We've got your locks lined up, but first we got a big surprise for you. You see, I'm sitting here by myself, but coming from behind the camera to join me with the picks, your one and only cameraman, Graham Hackett. Graham, welcome to the show.
Welcome me.
How you been? Welcome you. Okay, if you notice in the background, we got the Cubs versus the Mets. We thought we were going to see some life. One more game out of the Cubs. You think that's going to happen tonight, Graham?
It's 6-0 right now.
Oh, 6-0. What inning is it? Oh, it's the fourth. So yeah, it's not looking good for your Cubbies, and we apologize. But hey, this is football season, so we're going to give you the locks for Week 7. Graham, why don't you start us off with the quarterback?
I gotta go with Cam Newton. They're playing Philadelphia, and Philadelphia, all right. So I think Cam Newton's gonna throw the ball down the field.
You know what? I think that's a great pick, Graham. To back him up for running back number 1, I'm going to go with Adrian Peterson. I started out the season with Adrian Peterson, and he did an awesome job. He's been kind of like this throughout. Going back to him because he's at Detroit. And Detroit, not real good. They're 23rd against the run. This is a great matchup for Adrian Peterson, and I think he's going to be your lock for running back 1. Running back 2, Graham, who do you have?
I think actually Detroit got their first win last week.
Graham, you are correct. They did get that first win against the... Who was it?
I forget.
Doesn't matter. They got their first win against the Chicago Bears.
Oh, yes.
That's right. Okay, so who do you think for running back 2?
Mark Ingram. They're at Indiana, which...
Indiana?
Yeah, Indiana.
The Hoosiers?
Indianapolis Colts.
Indianapolis Colts.
Sorry.
That's all right. Don't be sorry.
But, Indianapolis, they had a weird play last week.
They did. That was a fourth, and what the heck are they doing, wasn't it?
And they're probably not going to make that mistake again, but...
You know what? That's a great pick, Mark Ingram. I like that. I'll tell you what. For wide receiver number 1, I'm going to go with Martavius Bryant. Now, Pittsburgh Steelers at Kansas City. Kansas City is 32 against the pass. Landry Jones and Martavius Bennett hooked up quite a bit last week for 2 touchdowns. Michael Vick's still out. Roethlisberger's still out. I think Bryant's going to be his man. What do you think?
I think that's a good
solid
pick.
And wide receiver number 2, who you got?
Julian Edelman.
Julian. See, I called him Justin, but you got his name right, and I believe it is Julian Edelman. And who are the Patriots playing this week?
They're playing the New York Jets.
Wow, I tell you what, that's a favorable matchup for just about anybody. I like the way the Jets' offense is playing. Defense, I'm not too confident in.
Yeah.
All right, Julian Edelman, I like that pick. Wide receiver 3, Brandon Marshall. Haven't seen any different picks this week for New York Jets players doing anything weird. But I'm going to counteract that New York Jets. The New England Patriots defense is not its best part of its formation. They're great on offense, but as we saw last week, within 1 minute to go, they gave up a 90-yard drive to the Indianapolis Colts, and it was mostly passing. So Brandon Marshall's going to have that same opportunity again this week. Tight end.
Antonio Gates.
You know what? That's a good one. Who do they play this week?
The Raiders.
Well, what do you think about the Raiders?
No comment.
No comment. That's probably pretty good to keep this show clean. Antonio Gates, you look for him to have a big week. For a flex, I'm going to go with, I've gone with him about every week. This is about the point where Curtis would call me Homer. There you go. I'm going to go with Larry Fitzgerald because he brings it every single week. And they're playing against a weak Baltimore team who's 31st against the pass. Fitzgerald's still relatively inexpensive, and he's going to make up for last week. This week. They had that bad loss last week. They're going to make it up this week. Graham, give me, if you will, a defense.
Seattle.
Who is it? Seattle. I like the Seattle Seahawks.
Marshawn Lynch.
Well, he's on offense, but he does play for Seattle. But they're playing against who?
They're playing against the 49ers.
And their quarterback is? Colin Kaepernick, who had a big week last week. You all right there, buddy? Didn't mean to get a little choked up there. But Seattle against 49ers. It's in San Francisco, is that correct? I still think you're right. Seattle's going to come through.
I don't think that's going to be a big difference.
I don't either. And you know who I'm going to pick to back that up as a kicker? Stephen Hashko. Can't say his last name very well, but he plays for Seattle. Again, it's San Francisco, and I see him to wrap up a lot of points. So, again, a rundown. Quarterback from Graham, Cam Newton. Running back 1, Adrian Peterson. Running back 2, Mark Ingram. Wide receiver 1, Martavius Bennett. I'm probably not saying that right, but we'll correct that on the quotes there in the YouTube video. Wide receiver number 2,
Julian Edelman.
Number 3 for you guys on FanDuel and DraftKings is going to be Brandon Marshall. Still cheap, going to put up a lot of points. Tight end, who you got, Graham, again?
Antonio Gates.
Antonio Gates. For flex, I have a Larry Fitzgerald. Defense.
Seattle
Seahawks versus them 49ers. And finally, a kicker, Steven Hauschka. I think I got his name right that time. Folks, Week 7 is going to be very pivotal. A lot of your fantasy leagues are starting to wind down the regular season. Most of them have about 5 more weeks to go. This is a time to make your push. Again, follow us on Twitter, PH_fantasy. That's PH_PHANTASY. Same thing on Instagram. We're trying to get it hooked up. All you have to do is hit that button to subscribe, and that's on YouTube. Graham, again, who do you think's going to pull this game out behind us?
Mets.
Yeah, it looks like the Mets. I'm sorry, Cubbies.
Wait.
But what year? What?
Wait. Okay. We need to do the wild card pick.
The wild card pick, but if you pick the wild card pick,
Exactly.
then who do you think the wild card pick is going to be? You go
I
ahead and
think
get
defense.
defense, and you pick Seattle. You know what, Graham? I'm ready for you, and I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers. First, them Philadelphia Eagles. The Panthers are going to score a lot more points than Seattle.
I do not think that's
Good luck,
true.
good sir. Folks, thanks for joining us. Curtis will be back with you next week. Graham did a great job filling in, and we'll see you. Peace out.
Bye.
He's got to come around and hit stop. So that's what he's doing.